Good morning everyone, welcome back to another video of the garage conversion series. So guys, if you've been watching this one, we've been converting an external garage. Is a garage that's detached from the house at the back of a garden with a huge alleyway at the back. We're converting it to a music studio for a customer. So we've also put a toilet in here. Well, we're putting a toilet in here as well. So while they're in here doing this stuff, they don't need to go to the house to go to the toilet. They can use the toilet in here. And today I am on my own here today, and I'm going to start with the flooring. So the plan today is flooring and possibly get some skirtings in as well. So I'm going to show you guys what we've done so far, the update on the progress, and I'll show you the products I'm using today. And obviously I'll show you what I'll be doing. All right guys, so this is where we are at the moment. So as far as the progress here, we see we started some painting, all the plastering had been done, and all this painting has started. So Namdi's done a great job so far. What he's done is he's hit the ceiling with 2 coats, or well, we do an undercoat and then we do 2 coats of paint. So he's done all of that. The walls all had 1 coat. So it had an undercoat and 1 coat. So we've done 1 coat from here in white. Same thing in the bathroom as well. And then we got a feature walls as well to do, which is basically this wall here. We've got a little bit to paint, but there was some filling to do in here. We couldn't get inside here with the trowels, so Namdi's just used some easy fill in that last gap there. So basically this is all had 1 coat, and I think there was maybe some little blemishes that he's probably filled over somewhere. I'm not sure, but put a little bit of filler there. So he'll just rub that down really lightly, very fine, easy fill. And then he'll have a 2nd coat on these walls. So this is where we're at now. As far as this side, all this side has also been painted white. You can see all our boxes are all in. That's our electrical boxes. Let's see if I can show you guys. They are all in, just need to clean those up and all that. And the same thing on this side. And lighting, we've cut all the holes out. All the cables are in there. See if you guys can see. Wonder if I can show you, but probably be difficult with this. But yeah, you can see all the lights are in as well. So same thing for the bathroom. We have the switches for the bathroom here. We have an extract fan as well. Cables behind the wall here, so we've got to bore this out. And then we have light switches as well in here. So we're going to have consumer unit up on the wall here. And then this will be the light switches here. So how we have the lighting in here, we are going to have 2 switches here. 1 switch will do 7 of the 8 lights, or 6 of the 7 lights, should I say. So we've got a strip of 3 down here, and then we've got 4 down that end. And then that last light at the end is going to be a separate switch, so it can light that area separately if he just, in the evening, maybe just working on his desk, just wants that 1 light on. So it's 2 circuits essentially, and two switches or dimmers or whatever they're going to go for. So that's that. So what we're going to be doing today is flooring. What I'm going to be doing today is flooring. So we've cleaned the subfloor. We took all the plastics off and swept out here and everything. Just need to shift all this stuff out of my way. But we have the floor. So let's have a look. This is the first time I'm seeing the floor. So I know it's an LVT, as you can see. Luxury vinyl tiles. So anybody wants to know what LVT stands for, that's what it is. It's essentially a vinyl flooring, which is why most of them are waterproof. Yeah, it's just basically this is luxury, a glorified laminate or lino, as we used to call them. But this comes in a tile form, similar to laminate flooring or engineered wood. It's very similar to that. You can lay it often like that. I'm not 100% sure which one he ended up going for in the end, but as I can see here, it says 5G1 click, so it is most likely some sort of clicking system. So he says here, lightning fast, clicks together effortlessly making fitting a breeze. So should be okay for me to do on my own. I'm imagining this one you can click 1 panel at a time, which is a lot easier than the ones when you got to do the whole roll and you need 2 people to help you with it. Also said it's durable, scratch resistant and wipeable. So this one's probably more splash proof than anything. We'll be using it throughout the whole house. It's going to go seamlessly straight into the toilet over there as well. So that will go there, straight through into there. And once that's in, then we can put the architraves around the doors, which will sit on the floor. And then we can put the skirting boards, which also sit on the floor. So I've got a lot of work cut out with the skirtings, because obviously we've got all these little inserts, so we had to go around the columns and stuff. So we did talk about it with the customer about leveling it all off, but you know, just more space being lost and everything. So to be honest, I think it looks nice, a little bit of a feature. And what we did here is that's what we centered these sockets, so we're actually going to have a feature. So the TV is going to be a TV on that wall. It's going to sit right between those two columns, which I think will look quite cool. So yeah, and that's really good. It just means when I'm doing all my skirtings and stuff, I've got a lot of round these sort of pillars to go around and all that stuff, a lot of cuts and stuff like that. So well, it's fine. I'm sure it will look great. So yeah, I'm gonna go and get the rest of the flooring in, and then we're gonna start. So how I'm gonna start this flooring is, I could start a couple of ways. I could start from the front, which is probably a good idea, just so you make sure that at your door you get sort of like a nice straight finish, or full tile if you want to call it that. So to be honest, I probably will start from here, probably start from there and come all the way across wide. And then when we get to here, then that way I can go and do that separately, finish that square, and then carry on from the piece here and then go into there. So, because what you could do is you could do that section, and you do that section, and then they've got to line up. So, or you could do that section, when you get to here, run it across and then go into there and then continue back. But I think aesthetically it's probably better if I start in the front. And also the building isn't square, I know that for a fact. So this is a very old garage, it's not square. So if I start at the back down here, when I get down here, I'm not 100% sure that my last row is going to be, you know, square with the door. So it's probably best we actually start here thinking about it. So yeah, so when you're doing flooring and finishing stuff, it's good to take some time and think about how you're doing it, make your plan and stuff before you start, so you can sort of do it the smartest, most effective way. So we're going to start here. Waiting for the door still for here. Once the door's in, we can finish the last bit of plasterboard, which is literally just a little bit of return inside here, and same thing on this side, a little bit of return. We'll angle bead it, and then we can skim this last little bit, and then basically we'll be closing this job up. So toilets are here, sink is here. We already started digging the trenches actually down to the manhole, so we actually started running it all down. You guys can see we've got some concrete to break up outside here. We've got to break a channel of concrete out and re-concrete it. These drains are going to be what we would consider shallow drains. It's mainly because of the depth of the manhole. It's not that deep, so we're going to have to fill it with concrete. You're going to have to do that with a shallow drain. So that's what we're doing for here. But we do have the floor that we need. We've checked it all and everything, and we're good to go in that respect. But yeah, it's just going to be a toilet and a little sink in that room there as well. So yeah, guys, that's it. I'm going to crack on. All right, guys, so these are quite simple to fix. You can lay them one plank at a time, which is very good and helpful. With LVT, people talk about expansion gaps. You don't need an expansion gap for this. However, what you need to consider is what you're butting against. So even though the LVT is not expanding like some timber floors would, which is why you would need an expansion gap to allow that floor some space to expand, sometimes some of the things you're going around can expand. So if you're going around some sort of timber door frame, or they actually suggest some kitchen units and stuff like that, bear in mind that those things can expand. So if you butt it up too tightly to those things, if they expand, then they'll push on the floor and can cause the floor to buckle. So they're recommending 6 mil gap around, you know, sort of cabinets and stuff like that. So we have gaps, some gaps on the plasterboard, so which is helpful, but I'm going to leave a small gap because we do have timber battening and stuff around. So we're going to leave this very small gap. Obviously the skirting board will cover that gap. That's what it's there for, and also to hold the floor down. So we're going to start with this first piece here, and we're going to run that way. So this first piece is probably a trickier piece. We're going to cut. There's a couple of ways you can do it. I could just cut the shape around this and slot that one piece in. Another easier way is to start off here so that I get my nice straight line on the door, and then have a piece there, and then carry on that way. So that's probably what I'll do for this piece, just easier and quicker. So I'll cut a piece the length from here to there, and then I'll come and cut this little notch out, and then I'll click it into this part, and that will be my first 2 pieces. Then I'll run it down there. What I'm going to be doing with the pattern is it's going to be a staggered random pattern. So a couple of reasons. Well, customers fine with that pattern. Most people are happy with that pattern. I don't like the sort of straight lines like a brick pattern. I just think it looks a bit, it doesn't look natural. And obviously this is fake wood, and it's supposed to look like a wooden floor, like even though it's grey, but it's got wooden grains and stuff. And I just think with anything that's sort of natural like that, it should just be random. Otherwise it just looks too clinical and it just looks too fake. So the other benefit of doing it that way is that you get less wastage. So if you imagine when we cut the last piece at the end, we use the offcut, and we start down there with the offcut. So we're always using the offcut instead of throwing the offcuts away or wasting too much. With the offcuts, they need to be at least 200 mil, 20 centimeters. Anything less than that, you really shouldn't use it as an offcut. You should start again with a fresh plank or something like that, just for strength and stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to cut this one here, and then we'll come back. Right, also to cut these, you don't need any machinery. It's good to maybe have a handsaw, because it will help you to cut some little notches out and stuff. That's all you really need, really. Otherwise, you just need a knife. So you score twice, 2-3 times, snap, and that's it. You score it, and when you snap it, it's got an underlay on this one. So when you snap it, just cut the underlay, and it will come apart. And that's pretty much it. Use a square or a saw or whatever to get a straight edge. Now, I already know, I can tell there's a slight angle on this wall here. So to get this correct, this is my length that I've cut in. This is the piece that I'm going to slot in here. I'm going to slot it in like that and get it straight. And I can see I already got a little bit of a gap here compared to here. So I know this column is slightly in. So what I can do to help me get that shape, if you get a full plank like this, get another full plank and lock it in like this. Thanks, Rob. Lock it in like this. This is how the next plank would. Now you've got the actual shape that goes in here. So what I'll do is, I can put this up to the line. I can mark this side where you need to cut. Then use a square or something and draw a straight line through like that. Then now all I need to do is measure, if I can find my tape measure, the distance. So we need to know this distance here, and we need to know this distance here. So here we have, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. So I've got 5 centimeters, so I'm going to make it 4.5. So we leave a 0.5 centimeter. So we've got 4.5 on this edge, and then this corner to the angle bead we have 5.5. So we've got 5 here and 5.5. So we've got a 0.5 centimeter difference. So we've got 5.5, so we're going to go 5 on that side. So mark 5 here. And we can draw that line. Match the lines up together. Okay, now we need to measure the distance between the wall and the plaster and the wood, which is 10.5. So we're going to go 10. We're just keeping that 0.5 centimeter gap, 5 mil. And on this side we have 11. So we're going to go 10.5. So same thing again. There's a difference of about 0.5 centimeter. So we're going to go 11. Or was it 10.5? We've got 11. We're going to go 10.5. See, that's what they say. So measure twice, cut once. So we put those 2 lines together. We mark that. Okay, so now we have our shape. So we need to take this piece out and that piece out. There and there. So I've just used the handsaw to cut this part, and then what I do now is I can cut these two pieces with the knife. Yeah. There's our first piece cut out, and then we can cut this one here as well. I'm making a classic mistake here. Just a little tip. This is something I learned over the years. If you're marking to cut something like this, don't do what I'm doing. Just in case your knife slips, it's going to mark your good bit. So flip it around and put your cover on the good side and mark this way. So if I was cutting it and my knife slipped to the side, it would damage the offcut rather than damage the actual piece you want. So something we've all learned over the years not to do. Okay. Get my hammer. There we go. So that is our piece that should fit in that space. And now what we do is we take this off. And we're going to put this first piece in under here. There we go. Perfect. So what we can do now is we can continue down that way, and then we'll use the offcut and come back here and start that way. All right, guys, I got a little quick tip. Again, some of you probably don't know this. I'm sure there are people, DIYers, who might not know this and think, oh, I wish I had a square at some time when I was doing something. They might have an old saw like this or whatever. This is just an old saw that was lying around in the garden. But actually, if we look on this saw, not all of them are marked, but this one's actually marked. It says here 90 and 45. You can actually use this to give yourself a 90-degree mark on like a piece of wood or something. And you can also, if you butt the wood up to here, you can draw a 45-degree angle. The two most common angles basically that you'll use. So yeah, just a little tip there if anybody didn't know. I'm using this because for this, I don't need to be 100% accurate with my angles because everything is got 5mm tolerances anyway. But I can use this to hook it on the wood here. Just make sure that it's sitting flush on that side, and I can get a reasonably straight angle on that. If I wanted a 45, I would jam this section on the top of the wood, and then I would get a 45-degree angle that way. You could turn it that way and get the 45 that way as well. So just another little tip. So I started this one, this next piece, same thing down the other end. I used the plank here, join that in here. Then I cut my next plank to length, which is just a little bit short, just a little bit long. So I cut this piece off the end of it. And then I did the same thing that I down there. When I put this plank in, I measured the distance in the gap and I've transferred that mark. So I'm now cutting this piece out. Once I've cut this piece and I get this piece in, it's just a load of straight pieces from there. Now the offcut that I've got left over is only 11 centimeters, so it's too small to use to stagger down the other end. We need at least, according to the manufacturer, 20 centimeters. So this is one piece of wastage. So we will start with a full plank on the next row, and then hopefully by that time we'll start getting some offcuts and so on. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to cut this piece and then we move on. Just showing you how easy this stuff is to cut. It's an old rusty saw and it's cut this so easily. Okay, so there we go. We've got our nice piece here. Oh, other thing I didn't mention, this floor, this particular LVT, not all of them, but this particular one doesn't require an underlay. They actually say do not use one. It will be too spongy, it'll be too much movement, and it can cause the splitting between the joints. So this actually has the underlay built in to it. Quite nice. And just means that you don't need to lay an underlay when you're putting it down. So helps to save a little bit of time for the fitter, I guess. Okay. There we go. So now we're going full one, making sure we got at least 20 mil between the gap between the joints. So you've got a joint right here and a joint right down there. And we're leaving our little gap as well. Make sure you push it in tight. Once you push it in tight, tap it down and that's it. Okay. The only joints on this one you need to hit with a rubber mallet or something are the joints going this way. So you can use a rubber mallet or you could use an offcut like this, put it down flat like this and use a hammer and whack it down, and that will knock that in tight into place for you. So as I said, I'm showing you just how you can do this with really minimal tools, because I always take that to an account when I'm doing videos, because I know a lot of people watching don't have a lot of fancy tools. And you'll get people, tradesmen saying, oh, one use this tool, one use that. It's like, well, the average person doesn't have it. And I believe most of the people who watch us are not professionals and they are doing their own home DIY stuff. So they're not going to go and buy a Festool machine or something like that, you know? So it's just me showing people how they can do things with the basic tools that they've got at home. So we'll finish the floor now. I've managed to get it all done, all into the bathroom. The whole thing is finished. I'm going to show you guys what it's looking like. So here we go, guys. Floor is done. You guys can see it. It's looking really good. So I've done the entire area. As you can see, we've gone all the way through into here, which is obviously the toilet, all the way around here. So all we're going to do is put the skirtings around to cover all the edges and stuff like that. We're out all the way out here as well. So as you can see, these are the boxes. I think there was about 14 boxes or so, something like that, if I remember counting. So that's all done. Literally, there's just a couple of planks left. I think there's like 3 full planks and a little bit left. So we haven't had much waste. There's a few little small pieces that were wasted, and that was pretty much it. But as you guys see, I've gone all around all these columns as well, all the way around to the front of the door. So yeah, it's looking real good. The grey colour. Just said we got to I got to find out what sort of skirting board design they want. Then we can get the architraves and put the skirting boards in. And then once the skirting boards are in, we can caulk all the skirting boards, and then the final coat of paint will go on the walls, and obviously the skirtings will be painted as well on the door frames. The door, we've got the door now. The door's here. The toilet's here. The sink is here. All the lights are here. All the sockets and switches are here. So literally, we've got almost everything we need to wrap up this job. But yeah, this is what it's looking like now. Right guys, so that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed today's one. Maybe you learned something, got a couple of tips or something like that. Let me know what you think in the comment section of the progress so far. So next time we'll be back, will be to install skirting boards, and then once the skirting boards and baseboard some of you call it, once those are in, then we can start putting the toilet. We've got to bore out the wall for the toilet, so we'll test fit it, bore that out. Same thing for the sink, and then start running some of the pipe work on the outside. So that'll be the next video. So until then guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.